Hey guys, my name is Matimio, and welcome to another episode of Sunday Mailbox. This is a video series where you, the viewer, can submit your gaming or Battlefield-related questions, and then I will give my humble opinion on them. To get the formalities out of the way real quick, I know most of you know this already, but if you would like to submit your own question that could be featured in an upcoming episode, you can do so by leaving a comment down below, or by sending me a YouTube message. The first question comes from Brandon, and it is, will the Battlefield 4 beta player rank be put into the full game on release? So the reason why I wanted to address this question real quick is because it comes up every single time a beta happens, like in every single game. Like if there's a beta, there's someone out there who's like, hey, is my rank gonna transfer on over when the game is released? And for some, this is actually becoming more of a thing now with free-to-play games, and where they just want you to start playing the game during the beta and during the alpha, and then your progression will transfer it over. But for Battlefield 4's beta, that's not going to happen. This is basically just kind of a stress test. They're trying to get people really excited for the game, and it's more of a demo. So go in there just to have fun. Go in there just to try things out and to see if this is the game that you want, which hopefully it will be because it looks amazing. But your stats and your progression are not going to transfer on over from the beta on into the full release. The next question comes from Vogel, who asks, the number one frustrating thing in Battlefield 3 is the fact that people get invincible when they get revived and when they spawn. What do you think about this invincibility? I cannot tell you how many times I have died because of that damn revive invulnerability, and I have no idea why it's in there. Especially when I'm playing as a recon and I take someone out and then their medic guy rounds the corner, revives them, and I go for a shot on the guy on the ground, but I don't get the kill because they're invincible for some random and ridiculous reason. I shake my head in frustration, especially when they get back up and I miss the next shot and they take me out. I want to throw my screen across the room. Like, it just shouldn't happen. And so hopefully in the upcoming game, it's not in there. But as for spawn immunity, I think that's okay in some situations. Like if you spawn on a capture point, I think you should be immune at least for a couple of seconds. You can't really see what's going on around you. It's completely random. And if you get dropped directly in front of someone, I don't think you should be punished for spawning on that objective. Like you had literally no control over that spawn, and it would suck if you died because of it. But as for spawning on an ally, I think some things should be tweaked a little bit. Like either make it so that you can't spawn on someone who's getting fired upon, or just make it so that if you do spawn on them, you don't get the invulnerability. Like you knew that they were getting shot at, you knew that they were on the front lines, and you shouldn't be rewarded for taking that risk. It just doesn't make any sense. So hopefully DICE has listened to the community and they're gonna tweak some things here and there. Like I said, I'm completely fine for having spawn immunity on objectives themselves, but getting revived and spawning on allies, I think that should be done with. The next question comes from Mr. Diamond, who asks, do you still think in Battlefield 4 that the medic will still be the most popular class and will just override all the others? I don't see support really being played much and everyone just plays as medics, and I don't want to see that in Battlefield 4. What do you think? So, from what we've seen, it really looks like DICE has taken a proactive approach to trying to make all of the classes feel more viable in the upcoming game. And what it really comes down to is not only the weapons that you can use, but mainly just the gadgets. You guys know that the reason why the medics are so popular in this game, I've repeated this 1,000 times, is that they can use the med pack to heal everyone and themselves, the defibrillator, and they just have some of the best weapons in the game. And when you put that all into one class, of course it's going to be popular. And so for Battlefield 4, the question is, are they going to give mainly the support and the recon players more of an advantage through their gadgets and their weapons? And I would say that they have. And the recon class seems like a really good example of this. Not only are they going to have access to pretty much every weapon that they have in Battlefield 3, so your high-powered bolt-action rifles, your DMRs, but they're also going to be able to use carbines, which from what we've heard from players that have gone to like Gamescom or E3, these weapons are really powerful. And a class that people are kind of tossing around is what they're calling Spec Ops, where you're using a carbine, and if they're as good as people are making them out to be, they're going to be really effective at taking people out, at least at close to medium range, and then they're going to use the motion sensors, the motion balls from Bad Company 2 and C4. So they're going to be this class that's going to have a lot of information at their fingertips. They can toss around these motion balls. They don't last as long as tugs. They don't have like an infinite life or anything like that, but they give you a ridiculous amount of information. You can use that to flank your enemies to just take everyone out that's on the mini-map. And then if you come across a tank or some sort of vehicle, you now have C4 to take them out. So just that combination in itself is going to elevate the recon class to way higher than it currently is in Battlefield 3. And that's just 2 new gadgets that they're getting. They're also getting a lot of others. So I have no real worry with the recon class. But as for the support, I'm kind of with you on that, where I don't know if they've done enough to elevate their power. They have done some things, don't get me wrong, and probably the largest change is that the light machine guns now have the most suppression effect, like they will suppress the enemy the most. So if you get into a firefight with someone who was using an assault rifle or a carbine, they're going to be at a larger disadvantage than you are because they're not going to suppress you nearly as much, and so they're going to have to deal with more weapon sway and recoil. So that is nice. But as for their gadgets, I'm not really all that impressed with them, at least so far. They will get C4, so that's fantastic. They'll still be able to take out enemy vehicles extremely quickly. But the recon class also gets that, so it's not like it's a distinguishing factor of the support kit. The mortar is getting an upgrade, and I do like the changes that they are making with that, but from what we've seen so far, it will probably see a nerf, so it's kind of up in the air how useful that will be at this point. If you're not aware right now, the mortar is now remote, which I love. I love the fact that you don't have to be sitting around that all day to get any use out of it, so you can still use your primary weapon, but if you see some people kind of hunkered down behind some sort of cover, you can quickly switch on over to your mortar and lay down some covering fire in their direction. So I do like that. But as of right now, it fires off mortars just in rapid succession. Like, you can fire off like 5 in 5 seconds. And if you can imagine like 6 or 7 support players doing that on a rush match, like, it's gonna get ridiculous. So they're gonna have to tune the mortar before the game is launched. Like, that is just guaranteed going to happen. So with that knowledge in mind, what else are they gonna really bring to the table? I mean, yes, they are gonna be able to supply people with ammo, but is that enough to really get people to play as that kid? I'm not exactly sure, so I am a little bit worried as a support. But in all honesty, we're just gonna kind of have to wait and see how things play out. This is all speculation at this point. A lot of us haven't even played the game yet. We definitely have not put numerous hours into things, and who knows, maybe the support weapons are the best weapons in the game. Everyone gravitates on over to them because the suppression effect just dominates everyone else. I don't think that's gonna be the case, but until everyone has been able to put a bunch of hours into the core game, we really can't make an informed decision. The next question is, I was wondering about the new Levolution coming in Battlefield 4. Everyone knows that Levolution and destruction plays a huge part in the Battlefield series, but do you think that DICE should do what they did in Battlefield 3, where the antenna falls after a certain point in the game? This would reduce the amount of people heading to immediately destroy the skyscraper in Siege of Shanghai and destroying the battleship in Paracel Storm. What are your thoughts? No. Like, why would you want something like this? Because the main appeal of Levolution is that you are interacting with the world around you. You have an influence on how the match is going to progress, and if you take that away, what you're just kind of left with is a standard first-person shooter that has these set pieces that happen on a timer, and that isn't as cool. And well, sure, when the game first comes out, everyone is going to be trying to take down the skyscraper. They are going to be destroying everything on these maps just to see how they can influence the world. But eventually, that cool factor will fade, and people won't try to destroy the tower or try to take it down at the start of the match. And maybe, you know, a month or 2 months in, you may not even have the skyscraper fall. Maybe that people enjoy playing on the top of it more than if it was on the ground. It's kind of hard to say. So kind of grit your teeth for the first couple of weeks. I honestly don't know why you would need to be so worked up about this, because I don't think it's going to be an issue. And even when those set pieces do fall, it's not like the map is ruined by any means. So no, Levolution should stay as it is. It's an awesome concept, and I wouldn't want them to do anything different. But yeah, guys, that is about it for today's Sunday Mailbox. I hope you enjoyed. Once again, if you would like to submit your own question that could be featured in a future episode, you can do so by leaving a comment down below. But until tomorrow, guys, have a good one and take it easy.